I'm attempting to complete every single GameCube game, and I'm using a random number generator to pick the next game. Last episode, we were on a quest to become the king of the pirates in One Piece Pirate Carnival, and in this episode, we're going to go fast and play the Sonic Mega Collection. The Sonic Mega Collection was released on November 10th, 2002, and was developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. I'm only playing one game out of the collection in this episode, but with 20 likes, I'll play another game from it. Get to liking this video! Before we get started, make sure to like this video, like I just said, because it helps out the channel, and subscribe if you're new, so you don't miss any of the future games. Without further ado, this is my experience with the Sonic Mega Collection, Sonic 3D Blast. In the Sonic Mega Collection, we're going to go through Sonic 3D Blast to consider this one complete. Since this is a collection, if this video gets 20 likes, I'll return to this game and complete something else on it. I don't want to do too much of Sonic videos back to back, so that's my solution for this. Anyway, Sonic 3D Blast is your typical Sonic game in a way, but it's in 3D, and I remember it coming out for the Sega Saturn, but I guess it also came out for the Sega Genesis as well. I hadn't played this one, so this is why I went with this one over any other Sonic game in this collection. This collection has a bunch of games in it, and I think it would be worth the money if you like Sonic games. Let's dive into this game. The game opens with a cutscene telling us Flickies, which are mysterious birds that can open rings to travel anywhere, and that Dr. Robotnik has turned them all into robots because he's evil and loves technology. I think his real reason is to find Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic shows up to save the day. That's about all you need to know story-wise, because Sonic games don't have very in-depth stories. Our goal is to go through each zone in the world and save the Flickies and reach Dr. Robotnik. The game is in all 3D, and we have to run around and collect rings and defeat the 5 robots in each area to save the Flickies inside. We can run fast, jump, and turn into a ball to complete this task. So the first zone we're going to visit is Green Grove Zone, and this is your normal opening level for Sonic. A lot of green and water, and the ground is checkerboard for some reason. We can also pick up power-ups along the way that gives us shields from different hazards. We can become invincible, and we can even run super fast. Supersonic. If you bump into an enemy, you lose your rings, and you have to collect them before they disappear. If you hit any enemy without rings, then you die. So if you have at least one, you're safe from dying. At the end of each act, you'll find these giant rings that once you return the 5 Flickies, you can use to travel to the next area of the stage, and that's pretty much it. In this game, we can run into Tails and give him rings. I have no idea what this does because I gave him rings and nothing happened. So if you know what this does, let me know down in the comments below. I also found these Sonic faces around the levels, and I have no idea what those do either. At first I thought they were extra lives, but that's not the case. There are a lot of things in this game that are poorly explained. Maybe if I had an instruction booklet, I would know. At the end of each act, you get an overall score for the level. This includes time bonus, ring bonus, flicky bonus, knuckles bonus, and tails bonus. So I think it's just a way to score the highest possible score for each act. Alright, I think I covered all the gameplay for the Sonic 3D Blast, so now I'm going to start going through all the bosses in each different area we go through for the rest of the game. The first boss fight is with Dr. Robotnik, which all the boss fights are, but he's in a different version each time. In this boss fight, we have to run around in an open area and try to jump on the top of his flying machine without getting hit by his giant spiked boulder he's trying to hit us with. I don't know how many times you have to jump on his head, but I feel like it was way too many for this time period of games. Once we defeat him, we can move on to the next area of the game called Rusty Rune Zone. This one takes place in an area with a bunch of old runes and looks sort of like we're in the jungle or something. The ground is still checkered though. I wonder why they went with this type of ground. In all the levels, the ground is always checkered. The only real new thing that takes place in this area is that we can get on these fan things and spin in a circle like a tornado. It's pretty cool and allows us to break pillars to get to the next section of the area we're in. We're able to finish both Act 1 and 2 for the Rusty Runes and head into the boss fight with Dr. Robotnik. In this fight, he shoots us while in an old rune with arms that go up and down. Basically, we have to hop on the hands of the runes and go up and then jump and hit Robotnik in the head. And then repeat the process Another simple boss fight, but they added a new element of fighting on a vertical level, so I like this one. Once we're able to complete this boss fight, we can move on to the next area called Spring Stadium Zone, which is super bright and colorful. It sort of reminds me of a circus or something, maybe more like balloons. This area adds spikes coming from the ground in specific spots, nothing we can't handle, but another element that can hurt us besides the robots. This was the first time I seen Knuckles in the game though. Hello Knuckles, can you show me the way? After completing the 2 acts in this zone, we're on to the boss fight with Dr. Robotnik. In this boss fight, we have to fight him while he flies around with Robotnik arms, and there are spikes everywhere. We can use springs to jump up to the 2nd level of the arena, and then jump in place until we can jump off and hit him on top of his head again. I struggled with this boss fight for a bit because I couldn't judge the distance for me to jump and actually hit him. I don't know why, depth perception I guess. But after a few tries I was able to take him down and complete the boss fight. I know I'm sort of going quickly through these fights, but there isn't much that actually happens during them besides us doing the same thing over and over until he's defeated. What's more fitting than to go fast in a Sonic game? On to the next stage called Diamond Dust Zone, which is a snowy area, because why wouldn't there be one in this game? The only new thing that this zone adds is frozen squares that we can slide on and can fall off into the raging snow or bump into spikes that can hurt us. So we have to be careful when moving around on the ice in this level. The boss fight with Dr. Robotnik is my least favorite one because it seems like there wasn't all that much thought put into it. In this one we have to jump on his head, but he has these guns spinning around him that can turn us to ice. We have to hit him as many times as he has guns because a gun will go away every time we hit him. There isn't much to the fight, and I was confused why this was the 4th boss of the game, to be honest. He also drops snowmen that blow up, and if the snowballs hit us we take damage. It's pretty much the only way you can be hurt during this boss fight. Once we defeat him, we're able to move on to the next zone called Volcano Valley Zone, and this one takes place in a volcano factory or something. There's a bunch of fire everywhere, and if you pick up the 1 power-up, then the fire doesn't hurt you, and it makes the zone super easy to run through. On to the boss fight with Dr. Robotnik. This is the hardest fight in the game. You have to jump around in this area with a bunch of lava you can't jump into because it hurts you, and then he shoots fire that tracks you around the area for a bit of time that also hurts you. He's in the middle, and if you don't land on the pipes, you end up landing in the lava after hitting him, so it took me a lot of tries to get this one right. It's pretty easy to land the hit on him, but it does take some time to get used to landing back on the pipes. I finally get enough hits on him and we're able to defeat him, but it was definitely a challenge that I wasn't expecting. Once we defeat him, we're able to move on to the next zone of the game called Gene Gadget Zone. This one is like a supercomputer area or something. It has a lot of tech and electricity that hurts you in areas that you have to continue to jump over and over to not get hurt. There's also these fans that let you jump up into the air to get to higher areas that we can't reach by jumping. I like this area quite a bit. On to the boss fight with Dr. Robotnik. This is another fight that doesn't have anything extra really. He can shoot missiles at us, but they're easy to avoid. The challenge for this boss fight is that we're avoiding these spike things coming down a conveyor belt, and we're constantly running on it, so it's taking us back to the far edge of it. Making it hard to stay close to Dr. Robotnik, but overall this one isn't bad. Just have the time when he's going to come down low enough so we can hit him. On to the last zone of the game called Panic Puppet Zone. This one is sort of like a power plant or something. It just has doorways that come out in different places on the level. It's not that bad, but it's nothing that really stands out that much. On to the final boss fight with Dr. Robotnik, which is a stage fight. The attack pattern is the same, but his weapons change on each level of the boss fight. The first stage just has him dropping his arms on us and shooting out these little balls that can hurt us. On each side of him, there are these blue buttons that flash. We have to go over to the side that is flashing and jump on it to do damage. It isn't that bad. Once we do enough damage, he lowers to the next level, and we jump down there to fight the next stage. The next stage has him shooting the tracking fire at us as we jump back and forth, hitting his blue buttons. This one is only hard if you stop moving, but besides that, it's pretty easy. Once we do enough damage, he drops down again, and we follow him down there. In this stage, he shoots these blue ball things that bounce around a bunch and can hurt you quickly. I found that jumping was the easiest way to avoid these, so I just jumped over and over again. And yet again, all we have to do is hit the flashing blue buttons on the side of him. This is his final stage, and I honestly expected a bit more out of the fight. Once we're done, we get the final act screen, and we get a cutscene where we escape with all the flickies, and Dr. Robotnik tells us that as long as he has his final weapon, he will conquer the world and he'll see us again. Then the credits roll for the game. We finished the game. Pretty easy. Would I recommend this game? I've never been a huge fan of Sonic games, and this is one that I feel should just stay in the past. Play something else. It wasn't a bad experience, but overall I wasn't impressed by it. If you want to know what's next, stick around, but if not, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Alright, so we have 539 left. We got our GameCube list here. And, yeah. We're going to figure out what we're playing next. So on the count of three, count of three, 3, 2, 1... 460, which is, what is 460? 460 is Tak the Great Juju Challenge is what we're playing next.